Hello and welcome to the Mortgage Minute. I am Ben Cason here with Vern Larson from Advantage Home Mortgage, the mortgage guru. How you doing, Vern?
I'm good. Happy New Year, Ben.
Happy
New
New Year.
2021.
Finally. Long 2020. But we're into 2021. We've also got another very special guest, Bob Young, home inspector here in Pueblo, Colorado. Bob, thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate being here.
Excited to talk to you guys just more about the process. With Vern here on the Mortgage Minute, we've done a lot of stuff so far. We've talked a lot about mistakes you want to avoid in the process. Go check those out. As well as last time we had Nick Knighty here, a realtor in Pueblo. He came in to talk about kind of his role in the process. So if you want to go check that out, and then come back for this one. So now we want to talk to Bob a little bit about home inspection and what that part of the process is like. So first, Vern, can you kind of talk to me a little bit about what is a home inspector from your point of view, from your side of the table? Then we'll go over to Bob.
Yeah, so I'm an expert in the lending, so I'm here to help you with your credit. I'm here to help you get the best loan and get all that part of it. And now we're going into some more experts. So we had Nick come in, and he's going to help you find that house. Once you find the house, you're going to put some money down. You're going to put an earnest deposit. And so that's going to hold the house, and you're going to get it checked out. So we always suggest using a professional. A lot of people think that, hey, I can just go in my house, the one I'm buying, I can turn on the lights, I can plug in stuff in every outlet, make sure it works, kick the furnace on once or twice, kick the air conditioner on, make sure it works, and go ahead and close. But it's really important. There's a lot of other things that home inspectors look at, and I'm really not the expert. I never really get to see the report unless there's an issue. Okay, so Bob's going to go into more detail of what he's looking for, how he's going to protect you in those things. But so why is a home inspection important, Bob?
Well, one of the main things about the home inspection process is understanding the house better. The goal of a home inspection is to find those major defects that could actually cost you money so that you know about them before you sign off and close the deal. Things like the roof, the structure, HVAC, the electrical of the property, those kinds of things. It's critical that you have a good understanding that those are in good condition, and if they're not, what's the potential there? The entire home is inspected. In fact, the home inspection begins even before reaching the property. As you're driving up to it, have I passed a marshland? Is there possibly groundwater? Those wheels start to turn, and you realize that these are the things that I need to be looking at as I begin this inspection.
And I like how he said major, because, it's kind of like getting a used car. If somebody's owned it before, there's going to be something minor. Yep. And it's cosmetic, and it just depends on your level of handiness of how much you want to tackle, and there's a lot of people, a bad roof doesn't really bother them. They're just, my uncle, 2 cousins down to the left, he is a roofer, so I know I can get this roof replaced at a decent price, or he can watch it or get it fixed or whatever. So
It's not worth making an objection over.
So true, so true. Everything with a house is fixable. Any issue that you come across can be addressed, and so a buying decision based on, oh my God, it's horrifying, it's not really true. And the home inspection is so detailed that things like loose cabinet hardware are going to be on there, a broken cover on an electrical outlet switch. These kinds of things are stuff that a homeowner would take on, really. When we find a major defect, we recommend that they have a professional look at it, a roofing contractor. When I go to a house, I'm up on the roof and I'm looking at how are the materials applied, what's the condition of the materials, what's the flashing like on there, what's the potential for water to enter this house. Water's the enemy of a house, and so all of the components of that home are designed in such a way to protect from water intrusion. So we go and we look at those things to make sure that the water is staved off, and we're looking for that. So it's always a great idea to have a home inspection to help identify those things so that there's an awareness and people know the next steps.
Now I know there's a ton of inspectors in town. What are some unique services you offer?
I offer, in addition to the home inspection, I offer sewer scope inspection and radon testing. The sewer scope is a wonderful, wonderful way of getting to know something that you just can't see otherwise.
Sounds a little poopy to me.
It's a little poopy.
I'll let you get to know that, I
think. What's nice about that is it's a video. I put a camera down that line, and I'll chase it all the way from the clean out to the sewer main. And so defects like, what are the materials? Clay, Orangeburg, PVC, and then what are the conditions? Do we have major root intrusions? Orangeburg is an inferior grade material that was used back in the 60s. Those kinds of things, and that's something that the potential is there for that to be a pretty costly situation. And so just a quick scope of that takes about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and then you've got the video to look at, and then the narrative of me calling out, what the issues are under there. Yeah.
And what's the benefit of the radon testing?
The radon testing, people think, well, it's a new house, it doesn't have radon. And that's not true. Radon's a naturally occurring process. It happens everywhere in the world, and all homes should be tested. In fact, newer homes with very tight construction methods, the potential is there for to stack with higher levels of radon. In Colorado, about 40% of the homes have high levels of radon.
Wow.
4 picocuries or above, it's recommended that steps be taken to lower them. Older homes, drafty homes with single pane windows, those kinds of things, just the natural draft of the home will lower radon levels, but really all homes, it's a good idea to have the radon testing done. It's a health issue. Radon's the number 2 cause of lung cancer in America. It's number 1 in non-smokers, number 2 in general, and totally fixable. Again, this isn't something that you'd make a buying decision on. If it came back with high levels, typically a mitigation system for a home doesn't cost really any more than a refrigerator. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And anything that does come back on Bob's report, if it's a real concern to you, that's what we want to know, because then you can get your real estate agent back involved, and then we can, make a inspection resolution.
Gotcha.
And say, hey, I want this fixed. Bob did the scope, and it looks like somebody patched a hole with a license plate. And that really happened on one of my deals, so I really know.
You saw it.
I've seen this firsthand. And so we need a new sewer line, and and then it becomes a negotiation. So everybody goes back out. The seller gets hey, I found a plumbing contractor that will fix this for $800. What do you want to do? Do we lower the price by that? Do we do it ahead of time? Whatever. It becomes a new negotiation, but at least you can address it and get it done. And then in a year from now, you don't find out, and it's a huge surprise and a huge problem.
Yeah. So that negotiation goes through the realtor, like Nick last time. That
Right.
would be his side of that.
And then let's say, Bob finds that this furnace is from 1920. It's the original furnace, and it's very energy inefficient, and I want a new furnace. The new furnace is going to be $5,000. The seller says, no, this furnace is completely fine. You need to take it as is. And if it comes to a head where there's no negotiation, then that's when you can drop. So
Gotcha.
you can cancel the contract, get your earnest money back, and then go out and find another house. So we always like to start with Bob or an inspector, get that inspection done before we order your appraisal. All right. So those are a couple of fees that when you're a home buyer, that it's out of your pocket. It's designed to protect you, but if something goes awry, you're going to lose that fee.
Gotcha.
But it's better to lose. What's your inspection cost now?
Up to 2,000 square feet is $300.
So it's better to lose the $300 and not, spend
Sure.
$8,000 on a huge problem versus, going chintzy on the $300 and then having a huge problem later.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So, you mentioned like advocating, and you were talking about last week when Nick was in, we were talking about like he was the advocate for the buyer in that scenario. Do you take that same role for your stuff, Bob?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's one of the reasons that I enjoy this industry is I can be there for the person that doesn't always understand how their house is. They've lived in the house. They know about living in a house, but the details of the house and then what to look for and what might be a problem that would go uncaught had I not been in there. So, is the furnace properly, the gas valve, the fittings that are involved in the venting of the home. How is it vented? Is it proper? Are they used proper materials? We don't want vinyl duct tape on an exhaust flue. These kinds of things are a reason to have us. We open up the electrical panel any arcing, any double taps, things like that, that a person living in the home would never, ever look at. I would imagine that most people would never go in an unfinished attic ever. And so it's a great idea to have me up there taking a look. I'll take pictures, full color pictures, documentation of, levels of insulation, any covered vents. Ventilation is so important in an attic space, and to have knowledgeable eyes and look at those things and say, hey, here's something that could be improved. Those kinds of things. Yeah, makes the process a little better.
Gotcha. So how would you guys respond to me if I said, well, I've seen houses before. I've lived in a few houses. I fix stuff myself. I'm about to buy this house. Looks pretty good to my eye. I don't need to buy an inspector.
A lot of people do have that approach. In fact, especially people that might have a construction background that say they're an HVAC guy. Well, that's one component. A home inspector is a generalist, so he's knowledgeable to some degree in all of the components of that house. And so if you're great with HVAC, maybe you don't know a lot about your roof, and so that would be the reason. And it's all about dollars and cents and safety. For example, a lot of people will tackle building a deck. A lot of people will do that. I mean, it doesn't matter what your background is. If you're a manly person or if it's got some skills, I could build a deck.
Yeah.
All right, and they can, and it might be a beautiful deck. But are the elements there? Do they have the proper joist hangers? Have they anchored it to the house in the proper way? Is there flashing to protect it from rotting out? Because humans are going to be on that deck. And it might be a nice, strong deck for 3-4 years. Year number 5, not so good.
Then you're American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, right. So those are the things. It's a matter of protecting your investment. It's a matter of safety. Those are really the reasons that for the small amount of money it costs to have a home inspection, it's a solid way to go.
And most people here are going to spend somewhere around $300,000 for a home, and his cost is $300. What are we? 0.0001% of the fee. Pony up the $300. Find out what you're really getting yourself into. Make sure that it's a good buy.
There you go. Cover your back. That's awesome. Yeah. So what would you say are like the common issues that you find, Bob, in like a normal house that you look at?
Well, the major things are water again. I can give you an example. I inspected a house where I saw a beautiful stucco repair on a wall. They hadn't painted it yet. They stuccoed it. They're getting ready to paint it, cover it up. It's a gorgeous job. And the problem is it was missing a kickout flashing up at the roof line, and they didn't replace that. So they went through all of that process of hiring the right person to come in and take care of that stucco, but they didn't solve the underlying problem. It's going to be an issue again. So I point out that, hey, there's a 4-inch piece of kickout flashing that's missing up above. Fixing that will solve that problem in a permanent way. So those are those are the kinds of things.
That's cool. Yeah. Awesome. So do you have any stories from, weird or like really messed up houses that you've looked at in the past that you can tell us like what were your weirdest experiences on the job?
There was here's one that was funny. It was October of last year. I was in a turn of the century house built in 1900, and so I'm down in a really tight crawl space, and it's dark, and I'm down there with my flashlight, my headlamp on. I'm taking pictures, crawling around and looking at things, and all of a sudden a shadow rises up behind me, and it looked like the devil. It had pointed horns, it looked like, and it was a cat. A cat had gotten in that crawl space with me. I was like, oh no. So yeah, that was one for sure. And then birds and things like that you might find in an attic, that kind of stuff that'll startle you unexpectedly. Yeah.
Snakes, black widows, huh?
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. When it comes to spiders, it's not for the squeamish. I've broomed my way through cobwebs to have a look at things. That's for sure. Yeah.
That makes sense, man. That's wild. Yeah. So Vern, take me through like on your side of the process then. So I know we talked about it like from a realtor and a buyer's perspective. From your end, you're handling the loan, and then, Bob comes up and you hear a report and says, hey, the roof is really messed up. The foundation's not in great shape. What happens on your end?
Well, I'm never going to know about it.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a passed off to the experts.
Gotcha.
Okay, so your real estate agent your inspector, the other real estate agent, the seller are going to work this stuff out. So if there is a major issue, Bob's going to let you know. Then it's your decision. It's, and you can lean on your real estate agent and go, what do you think? And, like he's saying, the electrical outlet, we're talking 21 cents. There's no reason to ask for this stuff. But
sure.
I've seen inspection resolutions, 21 things there, one, every single thing on an inspection report. Obviously, if you do that to your seller, you're probably going to irritate them a little bit. But, so it's a major thing. Okay, the chimney bricks are bad. It's, $1,000 fix to fix this chimney. I really want this chimney fixed. And the seller agrees to it. Yep, we're going to do it. So then there becomes an inspection resolution. The time I will get involved is if something changes. So, I agree to pay $300,000 for this house, but now this chimney is $1,000 fix. I don't really want to mess with it. I'm going to take $1,000 off. So now our new purchase price is $299. So then I get that, and then your loan numbers all change, and then that's when I would become involved. But my biggest thing is in our beginning, we let you know, hey, get a home inspection, get this done, make sure you know what you're buying, because I don't want you to be unhappy.
Sure.
I don't want you coming back to me in 6 months and, Vern, why did you let me buy this piece of crap? Now I'm like, I don't want to fix it anymore. I'm just going to let it go. And, that's the last thing we want to do is, like we had talked earlier, we don't want to set you up for failure. We want you to be able to make the payments. We want you to get a quality product. And that's what we're looking for. So that's why we're going to bring in an expert like Bob. And, he's going to know what to do. And then your real estate agents are going to get together and, ask for anything that needs really asked for.
Gotcha. So I think that there are two terms that are pretty commonly mistaken for each other. So that's appraisal and inspection. So you guys kind of speak to that. Well, what's the difference?
Well, the inspection is literally the condition of that house, the physical property, and the way that it's put together. It's the details of the home and how those systems are brought together in a safe, secure way.
And the appraisal is the value of the home. So the appraiser is going to protect you from overpaying for the home. He's going to also protect us as lenders from lending too much on a home. So he is going to find the most, 3 reasonable homes the same as yours that have sold in the last 6 months. And that's why values in homes change so much too, because the appraisals are only supposed to be good for, 90 days. They're only supposed to go back 6 months and find the homes most similar to yours that have sold. There is a little misconception on that because FHA requires their appraisers to do a little tiny, just to make sure the house is livable, basically. So they do look around for like safety concerns, broken windows, exposed wirings, but nowhere near the detail that Bob goes through. So if you ever, are getting an FHA loan, don't get confused that appraisal is an inspection. It's, very basic stuff, probably the same stuff you would look at. And we've seen a lot of stuff on FHA appraisals miss that the inspectors do find. So
gotcha. So like the appraiser is just going in there to see the general value of the place. They're kind of just looking around to make sure everything's,
Yeah, and they're in your home maybe 10 minutes. Like how long are you in there, Bob?
2.5 to 3 hours, sometimes longer, depending on the condition of the home, the age of the home. I might spend even more time, but never less than 2.5 hours. Yep.
Whew. Being meticulous, checking everything.
Yep.
That's cool.
Every room, every nook, every cranny.
Yep.
What would you say is like the biggest house that you had to inspect?
Well, as far as square footage, I've done 5,000 square foot houses.
Whew.
Very, very large. And a house like that, it'll take all of a day, a very long day sometimes.
Yeah.
And then some of the older ones with lots of facets and character to them are going to take a little longer too.
Sure. That makes sense. So if I'm buying a house out in the country and it has a well,
Yep.
do you check out the well as well?
I do not, but I would recommend that a well contractor check at that. There's some things with a well there are some things that I will notice if that septic system is close to the well within 50 feet, that's a problem, and I would point that out. When it comes to volume, right?
Let's avoid that.
There's not a lot of extra minerals in this water.
That's a bad idea.
What's the deal with this water? But there's the volume of a well is an important thing. So a well contractor should come out. He's going to run that well. he's going to verify that it produces the volume to keep up with the house's needs, that kind of thing.
Gotcha. So Bob, what was kind of your background to get that? Like Vern was saying, you have a general knowledge of everything. How'd you get to that point?
Well, it's kind of a long story. I actually bought a house, and the realtor, like many people, he recommended that I hire a home inspector, and so I'm Builder Bob. I started life as a carpenter, working in a cabinet shop and building houses, and then I went to work in the rental industry, which exposed me to a lot of commercial construction on job sites, working with contractors in various fields, which gave me a good background. And then I spent time as a CSA, which is a service advisor for a heavy equipment company. And that's when I went out and I would evaluate undercarriages and the conditions of bulldozers and excavators and those kinds of things. So he recommends that I hired this home inspector, and I said, I'm in, let's do it. And I hired the fella, and he did a good job. He did a really good job. And I thought, wow, I should do that. And so I went to work, and it's not flipping a switch. I mean,
Sure.
a certified home inspector, InterNACHI certified or ASHI certified, he's had to put in the time and effort to learn all of those various systems of a home. And actually, there's book work, there's written exams, there's testing. And for me, in Colorado, we have to be certified home inspectors. In other parts of the country, licensed. So I took the national exam, the 4-hour national exam, and passed that for professional credibility. And if we ever do require licensing in Colorado, I'm ready to go.
Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah. And that's true of the radon testing too. I'm certified for that, and I took a national exam for that as well.
Gotcha. All right. That's awesome. Sweet. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like, being a home inspector, you have to have a pretty meticulous eye of like every little thing as you walk around. Like, how long did it take you to hone that part of it? Like, speaking back to maybe even whenever you were doing the inspections on your undercarriages and things.
Yeah, that's part of it too. It's an interest in how things are put together. That was with me even before home inspection. I'd walk into a building and I would look at the woodworking or the duct work and how the door worked as I passed through it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it just it's kind of an outcropping of that. It's a detail of what's wrong with the picture. Garage doors, furnaces, foundation walls, these kinds of things I'm always interested in a historic home or a new home. So I think that's really the thing. And so if someone is hiring a home inspector, I would say make sure that they are a member of an association such as ASHI or InterNACHI, because part of that membership with those organizations is continuing ed. So they're going to have to take tests. They're going to have to pass those tests. And then they're going to have to continue to build because construction methods and materials change. And so we have to stay on top of that stuff. And then, do they have insurance? And so the insurance vetting process is those same things. What have you done? They want to see your resume. What kind of effort and education do you have? And in order to give you the insurance. So make sure that the fella has insurance as well. So I would say interview your home inspector, talk to him. It's important that you're comfortable with the guy, that you trust the guy, and you believe that he's knowledgeable in what he's doing. And there's so many good home inspectors, really they are. But do have those conversations with them, interview them before you decide.
Gotcha. Make sure they're up to par.
Right. Exactly right.
So one more question for me. So if I'm on the seller side and I'm about to list my house, I want to go into the process. And, my house maybe isn't not necessarily in disrepair, but there's stuff going on. Is there easy fixes, kind of things that of that I can do to keep my house in better shape?
Yep. And we do. At the end of a home inspection, what we like to do is a walkthrough to talk about those major components of the house. And so, one of the things that's really great is the downspouts in the roof, the drainage. Do you have downspout extensions? Are you managing that water away from your foundation? Because water, again, is a no-no. Flashing around doors, weather seals. When you shut your door, can you see daylight through it? In the wintertime, get the hoses off of your exterior faucets. Do you have the right exterior faucets? Is one that's likely to freeze or is it frost-proof? And these are the kinds of things that a home inspector is going to help you navigate. Yeah.
And I think where you were going with that, Ben, was a great idea. Like if you were a seller and you wanted to hire Bob or an inspector ahead of time, I would think almost any buyer would appreciate that, because then they're not out the $300. So if you can say, here's the inspection, here's what he found, here's the receipts of everything I fixed, here's the 5 little things that are left that I didn't feel like doing, boom, here you go. I bet that would be a great, we'd have to, ask a real estate agent to make sure, but I think that would be an incredible,
a great first step.
First step as a seller, and say, hey, I'm ready. Here we go. You don't even need to spend the money. If I've already hired a certified person, here's the repair. So
it's always one. In fact, that happened in my own experience when I sold my house. I had a problematic electrical panel, and nobody knew it until it became inspection time. Then I had to upgrade my electrical panel immediately, but that was an expense that I saw coming.
Yeah, because you're an inspector. You're just like, I know that's going to happen.
Right.
Just for my own knowledge, are you inspecting solar? Do you look into that? No. Okay.
I do not. Again, this is one of those.
It's a newer thing.
Yeah, it's a specialized thing. Now, when there is what I would look at a solar array is I'm looking at the attachment. Is it likely to shed water? Well, is there good water prevention on a system like that? And then, beyond that, electrically, I'm still going to open up. It's still going to have its breaker panel, those kinds of things that were original to the house. So I'm still going to look at those things. Yeah. What's nice about an installed solar array is that it has had an electrician recently on that house looking at things. Yep.
So if somebody needs to get a home inspection, how do they get in touch with you, Bob?
I've got, there's several different ways. Google Ads, you can find me at Young's Home Inspection. My website, youngshomeinspection.com. My phone number is 719-568-8569. And you can also find me on Facebook.
Okay, there you go. Nice. Bob Young.
Bob Young.
Bob Young. And obviously, listening to you here, you can just tell how much great experience you have and all this stuff. I mean, before we came in here, I walked you around the building here at Wake Up. It's an older building, 1869. And, just watching Bob go through all of the stuff. I didn't even notice some of the stuff he brought up. And I've, been working here for a few months. So it's just cool. You're definitely an expert in what you do.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. And then obviously, the real expert here is Vern for his stuff as well, as he's a mortgage guru on his side. And that's Advantage Home Mortgage. How can we contact you there again?
Let's do the phone number, 719-546-3100. Just give us a call when you're ready. We're going to walk you through all the steps, make this process simple and easy. Hopefully you're keeping up with the podcast, so you're becoming a little bit of an expert on yourself here.
I feel like I am.
You're going to know what you're getting into. Next week, we're going to talk about title insurance. Was just as like a mystery to most people.
Yeah,
so
that's a mystery.
Why do I have to hire a title company? So we're gonna bring in a title expert, and we're gonna go over that next week.
Awesome. Yeah, and as Vern mentioned, you can go check out our other podcasts we've done here on the Mortgage Minute. You can really get a good look at the whole process. We've gone all the way through. Basically, we were talking about the starting process of where do you want to be credit wise? How can you fix your credit really fast? You talked about your credit hacks. That was pretty awesome. We have a couple episodes on that, and then we got into mistakes you want to avoid once you've picked your house. We talked to a realtor, we talked to Nick Knighty, and now obviously we talked to an inspector. So we're just working our way through the process.
Yeah, we've got a few people to go through this. And you wonder, why are there closing costs? Because all these people get paid. So
all these people are working hard.
But they're working hard for you. So we're gonna get through the whole process from start to finish, and then we're gonna go back in and go on some more detailed stuff on the mortgage side.
Absolutely. This has been the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by Advantage Home Mortgage. Thank you guys so much for being in. I appreciate you. This is awesome. Love being around you guys. And thank you guys so much for listening, and have a great rest of your day.